Hello and welcome to Odds on Premier League Final Day Tips with Tom Rennie. At the end of the day, so many months later, is everything on David Moyes' hands. Tom, who would have thought?
In my experience, if you leave David Moyes, he will win you a trophy or you'll lose 5-0. There's nothing in the middle, so we'll see what happens.
Let's see. All Arsenal fans, I guess, are hoping for West Ham to catch some points at the Etihad. Let me know if you believe in miracles, if you believe Arsenal can still win the trophy. The bookies don't see it this way. Right now, Arsenal to win the Premier League is 10. Man City 1.08. So there is a very, very slight chance that Arsenal can win the title. But worse things we've seen in life. So guys, remember to leave your comments. Tell me if you believe in West Ham getting points out of the Etihad. And don't forget to subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. Well, and for miracles to happen, Tom, the first game we are going to analyze is Arsenal-Everton. Arsenal needs to do the homework, win at home, beat Everton. They've been brilliant the whole season. I think no matter, regardless of what happens in the final day, we have to get our hats off and clap Arsenal. They've done a brilliant season. Great job. I think not many people believe that they could put Man City or no until the last match day and struggling for the title. So great job for Arteta's men.
Yes and no. I mean, in the end,
No?
Arsenal should have won the league last year. They should have won it this year in order to challenge. They spent £100 million on Declan Rice, £70 million on Kai Havertz. They didn't sell anybody that didn't want to sell. And they ain't going to win it. This is a simple winners or losers scenario for Arsenal. And last year, having choked, this year, the loss against Aston Villa is costly. Man City would not have lost that game. And look, we can talk about Man City and their resources and their net spend and their manager until the cows come home. In the end, this was again there for Arsenal to win. And like last season, they aren't going to be champions. So at some point, they might need to start asking, do we stop giving this guy 100, 200 million pounds every summer to spend if we aren't going to take any trophies home at the end of it? So that's the question for Arsenal if they're not champions this weekend. It's a game of fine margins. I mean, City are going to have lost 3 games this season. That's all you're allowed now. Arsenal have lost 5. That's too many. You lost too many games. It's as simple as that now. City have taken the league away from that element of you can be a bit naff for a couple of games. You can't get beat by West Ham over Christmas. You can't get beat twice by Aston Villa, no matter how good they are. And that's the way it goes. And you had to go to Man City and win. We spoke about it on the day, that it was great they went to City and got a draw, but they had to win. To win the league, you've got to beat City. To be the man, you've got to beat the man. They beat them once, you've got to beat them twice. That's the way it goes. But look, still a great team. Going to win this game. Been fantastic at home this season against an Everton side who... reports of their demise greatly exaggerated. Their home form recently has been fantastic. 5 wins in a row, 8 wins across the season. The away season has not been particularly good. 2 draws in the last 5. Not many points picked up. I think it's around 20 of their points have been picked up away from home this season, but a lot of them in the first half of the campaign. It really went off the rails following the announcement of the charges. So if you think Everton are going to score, which I don't, you back them for a set piece. You back James Tarkowski. You back an assist by Dwight McNeil. That's been a safe bet all season. And if you think they'll score, go with it. Personally, I think Arsenal win this quite significantly. And it came in again last week. I was trying to do the maths this morning, but I couldn't count them all. I think I bet Arsenal win to 0 on 20 occasions this year. And it's come in like 15 times. Like it just keeps coming in. They keep winning games without conceding. 28 goals conceded is less than a goal a game. It's like 0.7 goals per game. So every game and a half, they concede 1. Arsenal win to 0, 1.91. It's low because it keeps coming in, but it's a pretty reasonable bet. And I actually think this might be a bit of a fun game for Arsenal fans. I think they might win this reasonably easily as it goes. So look at the handicap market, minus 2.5, 2.2. That ain't too shabby. I'd also look at the heavy score lines as well, the drubbing score lines. I know Everton are a really good team defensively. 49 goals conceded, really good for a bottom half team, considering Brentford below them 61 conceded. So very good defensively. Pickford, I think, second in terms of Golden Glove race this year behind Raya of Arsenal. But I think end of season, Everton have moved on. They're thinking about what's next. And Arsenal will want to give a final big show to their support of how good it's been, especially if West Ham is 0-0 for a while. So look at the handicap. I'll take -2, but keep going up if you feel brave.
So would you say the season has been a failure if they don't win the title? Or that's too harsh?
Yeah, of course it is. It is harsh. But this is a zero-sum game. This is what this is. The objective wasn't to qualify for the Champions League. This is not Aston Villa. This is not the Arsene Wenger Arsenal. And that's the challenge they set themselves. And the flop in the Champions League was pretty significant. The first game against Bayern Munich was poor. The second game was almost inconsequential. They were pretty nothing at the Allianz. So that's been poor. In the 2 cups, they haven't really done anything. And in the league, yeah, great to win 27 games. It'll be 28, but you can't lose 5. And that's just the standards Man City have set. It's not cool, and I don't like it, but that's the facts of it. The objective was to win the league, and they haven't.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see if they get the trophy, if Man City can't win the game against West Ham. Next game is Brentford, Newcastle. Nothing on Brentford's plate. Newcastle still wants to finish 7th. They are not challenging for the 6th spot because they lost the midweek game against Man United. It's been also a tough season, I guess, for Newcastle. Last year, they qualified for the Champions League. This season, they play the Champions League, but they finished 4th in their group. And I'm not sure if finish 7th is enough for this new project of Newcastle.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I think that if they were to qualify for Europe, which I think they will this weekend, it will be victory from the jaws of defeat. I think the Man United conversation is similar. The Chelsea conversation is similar. There's been points this season, and why the season's been like this, I don't know. They've had 11, 12, 13 players out. And, you know, to lose your entire back line, they've got no Botman at the moment, and Fabian Schär just came off the bench in midweek. They've got no Wilson, but they've got Isak back, but Isak's missed long spells of the season. They've got Gordon, but only Almiron's just come back in. Joe Linton's only come back after 5 months out. Goalkeeper's been missing, as has the sub-keeper at points. So I think there's loads of mitigating circumstances for Newcastle, and I don't think the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have spent Kingdom of Saudi Arabia money. They've spent good money, real good money, but they haven't spent Man City money. They haven't spent because they don't want to fall foul of the rules, the financial rules that continue to hang over Manchester City. They don't want to fall foul of it. They want to grow gradually, and I think in 6 years' time, when we're celebrating season 7 together doing these predictions, I think we'll be talking about Newcastle as potential champions, but they're going to wait that long. So I don't think it's been a bad season all in all. I think they've recovered it from nowhere. And I think Eddie Howe will be there next season. In terms of Brentford, links about Thomas Frank to Man United seem a bit spurious to me. I think that's unlikely. And I also think this season they've been a bit underwhelming, Brentford. Yes, they haven't had Ivan Toney for long spells, but like a few teams this season, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Everton before their recent run, being unable to win at home has been a killer and a real surprise. And at home, when even the worst teams, never mind the best teams, they come and low block, they make you ask questions. And there's not a great deal of guile about Brentford. There's a lot of spirit and ability and organisation, but there's no magic really. And I think that's cost them in home games. And 7 home draws, 6 defeats, 4 draws in the last 5 home games tell us that. So in this particular game, I would go draw. I would take the draw because Brentford are tough to beat, but they also find it tough to win. On average, they score a goal a game, they concede a goal a game, just about. And at home, 7 draws and 4 of the last 5. They're going to be hard to break down. And with a low block, Newcastle have struggled in the last few weeks away from home across the season. They have struggled. I know recent weeks have been better, but you saw in midweek, there are still defensive frailties about Newcastle. Even with the resurgence of recent away form, it's still 3 defeats in the last 5. So I'd probably shade for Newcastle if I were to pick a winner, but I'm not gonna. Screams draw, take draw.
Well, next game, very similar goal is Brighton, Man United. Brighton lost to Chelsea, and well, the season is gone. The Cherry is gonna leave. The last part of the season was poor, one win in the last 9, but they enjoyed European football. They enjoyed a good run with the Cherry. For Man United, still need to play the FA Cup final, still with some option to finish 7th. They beat Newcastle. Varane is leaving. I think it's the last game for many players in the Premier League. What is or how would you rate this season for Man United, Tom?
Okay, really. Like, I actually think it's
Really?
fun for us to slag off Man United, and it is super fun and it's top hashtag content. But in the end, they have had so many problems, a lot of problems. And we can all say, oh, they've got loads of money, big wages, big squad. And that's sort of true. But if you've got a squad of 25 and 10 are missing and it's the entire defense, you're going to have problems. Like, I don't know, Real Madrid don't win the Champions League without Vinny and Bellingham. PSG don't win Liga without Kylian Mbappe. You know, do Man City win the league at a canter without Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne all season? You know, in the end, it matters. It does matter. And up front, they signed Rasmus Højlund. I know he scored on Wednesday, but he's not been good enough to be the lead striker at Man United right now. There's no secondary striker. They're going into games with Casemiro at centre-half. And look, it's fun to have a go at Casemiro, right? I get it. It's fun. He's old, he looks slow, and he's never been a centre-half. But he don't want to play there. He's 5th or 6th choice in that position alongside Johnny Evans, who won the league for Man United when Alex Ferguson was in charge, right? So, you know, they've had legitimate problems all season that Erik ten Hag has actually done well to overcome, frankly. And I think he does deserve another season. Yes, the football's terrible at times, but what's he going to do? What is he going to do when he's got a field, you know, with the greatest respect in the world? Scott McTominay, Sofian Amrabat, Casemiro centre-half, Johnny Evans, at times Anthony Martial. I don't know. I think it's been all right. It's not been spectacular, but it's not been a total disaster. Plus the FA Cup final next week. Win that, the league season's inconsequential because it stops the Man City double. So big story there. In terms of Brighton, you mentioned De Zerbi. What's funny about him is I don't know if anyone wants him now. I think a few weeks ago, it was like someone was saying to me, oh, when Guardiola leaves, De Zerbi seems a shoo-in. I don't know. At home this season, just 8 wins, 3 defeats in the last 5. The Europa League campaign was pretty embarrassing in the end. Across the last 5 games, they've got 1 victory, 3 defeats home and away. And they don't spend big. So they're now going to, once again, go mining for gold, right? They're going to go look into the rivers and streams and keep shuffling until some gold pops out, a few nuggets of players. I don't think that's something you can keep on doing. And I've got concerns about Brighton going forward. I think they'll be a little bit more Burnley next season than they've been in recent years. Try and play football from the back. That's great. Stick to your principles. That's great. I can see them losing more games than they win next year unless they invest well in the summer. And De Zerbi's desperate to go, just judging by what he says and media kind of chat around him. But yeah, I don't think he's that attractive as he once looked. And do you see Fabio Capello this week said he's a 3rd-tier manager? That's going to sting. That's really going to sting from someone like Fabio Capello. Funnily enough, and it's going to annoy Donal who makes our graphics, but I'm going to change my bet live because I've just seen the live odds. And that's the thing about live odds, with apologies to our production team here. But I was going to go Brighton win. But after watching the games last night and working on the game last night and seeing the odds here for Manchester United, you don't get double money on Man United. I say this to you all the time. You don't get it. There's such negativity in the market now around Manchester United. Even your wife, who's never put a bet on in her life, is no longer putting a little punt on United. They're doing it on City. So I'm flipping it live. We ain't going to have a graphic for it. Just take Man United win. 3.3 for a Man United win against the beleaguered and battered and beaten Brighton. I think that's irresistible, frankly. Double your money for a Man U win. Amad Diallo was great in midweek. Bruno Fernandes is a world-class player, the only one that United have got. Lisandro Martinez came back in midweek, so maybe he'll get to play. Well done. Good work. Look at that.
Always spot on.
Professionals we work with here. Excellent creativity. Lisandro Martinez is back. I think that means there'll be a more familiar-looking defense, a familiar-looking midfield. And with Amad Diallo man in form, Man U win. Take it.
Okay, we have Ian going for Brighton draw, no bet, pays very little because Man United will be thinking in the FA Cup final. Well, it's still 1 week away. And Connats is saying mildly disappointing team against a very disappointing team like Man United. Well, the survey was in Milan's sphere, let's say, but yeah, many managers, for instance, even Lopetegui was in the Milan agenda, so we still don't know where the survey is gonna train next season. Next game, Burnley, Nottingham Forest, last game for Burnley. In the Premier League, Nottingham Forest, 3 points away from Luton Town. Are they completely safe, Tom, or
Yes,
do they
100%.
still need a point? 100%.
No, 100% safe.
So
it would require Luton winning like 10-0 and Forest
20-0?
losing.
Yeah.
So no way.
Because the goal difference is really big between Nottingham Forest and Luton Town. Forest lost to Chelsea in the last game, despite having the lead 2-1. I guess it's very difficult to place bets in this game. I guess Burnley would like to please their crowd in the last home game, but they've been horrible at home this season. Probably this is a pass game, no? If you want to bet.
Well, firstly, I'll just mention thank you to Forest last week for crumbling against Chelsea. I was worried our ACCA wasn't going to come in. And I went a bit risky last week, so I was a bit concerned about that. So thank you, A, to Chelsea, who've turned their form around brilliantly, but B, to Nottingham Forest for that excellent crumble. I think we all enjoyed it. Look, I think here that Burnley have been naive this season in the way they've played. They have not set up like a team that were trying to scrap for points. And in the end, what you need to do is get points first and think about the way you play later. That's why, there's the cliche of get Sam Allardyce or get David Moyes or get Roy Hodgson or get Tony Pulis or whatever, because that's what they do. They're like, well, how are we playing? It doesn't matter. We've got to get some points. And then when we get some points, we can think about style. Burnley have not done that for a second, really. It's cost them. They haven't got a Premier League caliber squad, something I told you in the very first week of the season. That has not changed, and they are down. What I'll do here is look at Forest and how Forest win, because I have not bet on Burnley to win all season, and it would have only won me 5 bets of 37 if I had. That's a lie, isn't it? I think it won the other week, which did come in, but it rarely comes in. So Forest to win here seems like a straight up and down. I would take it at 230. I'd also look here at Forest scoring goals, because the one thing about Nottingham Forest, certainly in recent weeks, is they can score goals. Callum Hudson-Odoi is a man in terrific form. If you take him to score, as he has in the last couple of games, and Forest to win, brings you a pretty tasty-looking 6.5. Find a man in form, tip his team to win, and there's every chance you make some serious money here. Callum Hudson-Odoi is red hot. I fancy the Forest win, and 6.5 is really, really sizable.
Okay, well, nothing on stake in this game. Much more interesting. The next one, Chelsea, Bournemouth, because Chelsea, they are in a great run. Finally, at the end of the season, they beat Brighton 4 consecutive wins, and there are options for them to play Europa League. There are options for them to play Conference. It will also depend on how the FA Cup final goes. They could even finish 5th, but Tottenham need to lose against Sheffield United, which is not very likely. At the end, we still don't know if Pochettino is going to stay in Stamford Bridge, but at least a decent end of the season for the Blues, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I think on Chelsea, I don't want to give them excuses in the same way it's a struggle to do for Manchester United, but in the end, they have had a bunch of players out all season. And last weekend, you will have noticed, if you watch the game against Forest, that everyone's commending Pochettino. Oh, look at the subs he's made. What a tactical genius. Well, not really. He's had subs to make. And the subs that would be available to him are all £50 million plus players. So he has an issue with Madueke. He can bring on Christopher Nkunku. We've barely seen him all season. They have an issue with Badiashile. They can bring on Malo Gusto, who's been one of the best players in the league for me this campaign. They have an issue with Conor Gallagher. Reece James, who's sent off now, so can't play in this one, can come on. So it's no surprise that the resources are there. They can make changes, and he can look to his bench, Pochettino, and improve things. It is not something he has been able to do all season long. So yes and no in terms of improvements with Chelsea. I do think there is a significant yes in some of the individuals and their improvement. Cole Palmer, an obvious example, though, to be fair, he's been pretty mustard all season. But I do think if you look at people like even Mark Cucurella in the last 5 to 8 weeks. He has improved. Nicholas Jackson across the second half of the season has clearly improved. Conor Gallagher has improved. There are others that haven't, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, but look, you can't have them all. He's found some players. Even Mykhailo Mudrik's got a good goal a couple of weeks ago. So some positives there for Chelsea. And I think maybe 5 weeks ago, I think Pochettino was definitely a goner. I think that's changed now. And I do believe the story in the press in the last couple of weeks that senior players went to Bowley Igbali, the owners, and were like, well, no, you can't get rid of him. We haven't done enough. And we've had issues with the squad. He's a really good manager. He's got to stay. I believe that happened. I think that's genuine. And I think you can see it with the performances. And frankly, to sack Pochettino now, which felt like a guarantee 6 weeks ago, it'd be mad. It'd be a mad thing to do. They've won 4 in a row. They're up to 6th. They may well pit Tottenham for 5th this weekend. And he got dealt a very poor, if expensively bought hand in the summer, Pochettino. So we'll see how that goes. Briefly on Bournemouth, Andoni Iraola signed his new contract this week to keep him out of the clutches of clubs that may well have wanted to appoint him. I saw a rumor this week that maybe Bayern Munich were looking at him because everyone else has said no, pretty much. And maybe I can see that actually in a couple of seasons. I can see it. I can see a pathway there if he really does amazingly well at Bournemouth. But at the moment, I think probably not. But we'll, you never know. But they have been fantastic second half of the season. Real tough first 3 months. But you look at a couple of things. Number one, Iraola is a brave manager, and they have been brave this season, Bournemouth. So huge credit to them for that. Secondly, Dominic Solanke. I mean, how many times have we done it this year? Solanke scores and Bournemouth win. Solanke scores and Bournemouth win. He has delivered so much this season. I hope Bournemouth can keep hold of him. I hope they're financially stable enough to keep him. If they do, next season, I think they could be a force once again, depending on what they do. But in this particular game, even though I like Bournemouth, I really do, Chelsea's form is irresistible. And Cole Palmer, again, it came in again on Wednesday for us. What did I tell you last show? Palmer scores, Chelsea win. Palmer scores, Chelsea win. Solanke scores, Bournemouth win. Brought us in so much easy money this year. Mm-hmm. Chelsea score. Palmer scores, Chelsea win. 2.3. Lovely, lovely.
22 goals this season for Palmer. Brilliant. Mustafa is going for Chelsea. Isa banker, so going for Chelsea. Chelsea draw for Barnabas.
I want that as well, Edu. Before we go on, I should mention, sorry, he has scored the opening goal in 9 games this season, Cole Palmer. So if you go opening goal and not just goal, you'll make more money.
Exactly. Much more money if you go for first-time scorer. Well, Chelsea with a point, they will secure European football. We don't know if Europa League or Conference. There are so many options available, but at least it's very likely that Chelsea will play again European football next season. Also, you were mentioning that Iraola was in Bayern Munich agenda. Oliver Glasner, same. Apparently, he rejected Bayern Munich. Also, he had a buyout clause very high with Crystal Palace. He's been doing a great job in this last months in charge. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa is our next game, and I can't believe these odds because Aston Villa, they are on holidays. Credit to them, of course, qualified for the Champions League for the very first time. Last time they played the European Cup, it was when they won the cup, actually, in the 80s. So credit to Unai Emery and Crystal Palace ending the season on a high. We mentioned it in the last game against Wolves, and it's been 5 wins and 1 draw in the last 6 games.
Yeah, and I love that story about Bayern Munich making the call to Steve Parish this week, the Palace chairman. And the story goes, we want to pay out his contract and have him. We want to pay you about 18 million euros. And Steve Parish reportedly said, yeah, sure. Make it 100 million euros and we'll talk to you. Otherwise, bye, and put the phone down. I'm sure it's more complicated than that. But I just love that because I think Oliver Glasner might well be thinking, should I have gone to Crystal Palace? Because they're a club with a ceiling. And Bayern Munich aren't. And the Bayern job isn't going to come round too many times in your life. So he might regret it. But in the end, he has got a contract to Crystal Palace. And in the end, they have found a way to get to 12 because that's where they exist. But even when they were 16th and 20 points off 12th, whatever it was, I always felt they were going to get there. This, I think, will be the 3rd season in a row they've finished there. And it's just, it's just home for them. As Real Madrid own the Champions League, Crystal Palace own 12th. But they have been so good. Not only Eze and Elise have been great, Jean-Philippe Mateta, we've spoken about previously, his improvement has been incredible across the last year. So credit to him and to Roy Hodgson, his coaching team, and the new coaching staff as well for those improvements there. I think Adam Wharton in January probably goes in as low-key best January signing of anyone. He's really given them something in midfield that wasn't there. So really impressed with Crystal Palace. With Aston Villa, I think you're absolutely right to say that the objectives have been achieved. I do think there'll still be a hanging disappointment from the Olympiacos loss. I think they all thought they were going to win that competition and should have won that competition. But maybe the best team at hitting the Villa high line this year has probably been Olympiacos. They seem to be the only team that have taken advantage of every ball over the top. Was it El Kabi, the striker, who scored 3 in the first and 2 in the second? It's amazing to me that not enough teams have really taken advantage of that, though 56 goals conceded is not a great record across the campaign. But look, can't go Villa here for obvious reasons. They'll still be hungover, quite rightly, from the booze up on Tuesday night. I do think they'll be professional, but with Crystal Palace playing the way they are, with an added desire about Palace, I think next season they'll struggle again. So this is the end of the Oliver Glasner flourish. I think they'll win. I think they'll win quite convincingly. And you pick one of the 2 players to score. In fact, 3 players. Mateta, incredible form. Eze, incredible form. Elise, incredible form. Pick one. I'll take Elise. For me, he feels the most likely. 4.5 Elise to score on Palace to win. But if you take Mateta, I'll take Eze, or a mix of that group, you're on double your money for all those bets. So go with your gut.
And Mustafa is also highlighting over 3 goals. And we have to highlight as well that this Aston Villa was not a Unai Emery style football team, as we've been mentioning in this show. And 76 goals scored. This is a very good tally. 56 conceded. So far away from the Emery Park de Bas style. So credit to Aston Villa. Probably the players are already booking the flight to Ibiza. They are on holidays, so they might lose this game in the south of London. Then Gatwick is nearby, Tom, and they can catch a plane to Ibiza, where Jurgen Klopp perhaps is going. He's German, so perhaps he prefers Mallorca. Liverpool Wolves, farewell party for Jurgen Klopp. I guess it's a kind of sad farewell party because the club is not going to win any title. Very disappointing defeat in the Europa League against Atalanta, also the last month in the Premier League. But overall, of course, a great spell. And perhaps we see a lot of goals in this game. Liverpool are scoring plenty lately, 9 goals in the last 3 games. How would you rate this season for Liverpool?
Well, they did win the Carabao Cup, and memorably too, with all those, with the teenagers on, the Klopp Cop kids and all of that. You know, I was there on the day, and they were worthy of the win. They did it in dramatic circumstances, fitting for Jurgen Klopp. So, you know, they won a trophy that 16 other teams in their league would walk over broken glass barefoot to win. So, you know, let's not feel too sorry for them not being in the title race to the very end. I do think, though, to your point on sad goodbye, it feels so over for Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. He told us in January, whenever it was, that he was running out of energy, and it's so clear. He wasn't lying to us. He's turning up late for press conferences. He's shooting from the hip like he knows he's going. He's not answering questions about the future, so he doesn't care. He's trying to shake Sean Dyche's hand before the full-time whistle was gone. And if you saw any of Monday Night Football, which was a brilliant game, which finished 3-3, Unai Emery's charging down the touchline, screaming, cajoling, losing his mind at this game. Klopp was almost like, wonder if I've got pot noodle at home. Maybe I'll eat that when I get home. Do I want ice cream? I don't. Is the game still on? Like he's not interested because he's had enough. He wants to go on holiday. He's done an amazing job. He's gone on too long. He knows it. They know it. And I'm actually quite pleased he's going in a way. I'm sure Liverpool fans even are, some of them, because it just feels like it's run its course. But what a course it's been. And I do think it'll be a big send-off here for Wolves. I mean, briefly, amazing job by Gary O'Neill, considering there's been no investment in the team. They've been safe for a long time, and that's evident in the run of form. 4 defeats in the last 5. Massively season over. I have some concerns about Wolves. You know, Lopetegui said there's no money. I think Gary O'Neill's going to find out there's no money. And next season may well be a struggle, especially if people like Mateus Cunha, Pedro Neto, Hwang Hee-chan, Max Kilman have been sold in the summer. Apparently sales need to happen. So, look, on this game, I do think Wolves will score, because Liverpool have conceded so many goals this season, 41 compared to Arsenal's 28. You want to know why Liverpool haven't won the league? There's your answer. They've conceded too many goals and too many poor goals, because lots of goals first as well. They seem to not be awake in the first 3 minutes of any game they ever play, even though they scored an early goal against Villa, because Emi Martinez threw one in the net on Monday. So look at a goal in the opening 10 market in this game. Either way, I'd take Wolves in the opening 10, and or Wolves to score first and Liverpool to win is always a good bet in these sorts of games. But I'll take both teams to score. I think Wolves will score 1. I think Liverpool will score plenty. That brings you at 2.2. The over, I love the over. You mentioned it, and I'll go with it. Over 4.5 goals in this match and Liverpool win. Still a quite low 2.63. Not a great bet, because I thought that would be higher, but I think it's likely. And likely bets, even with low odds, are better to go with than things that aren't going to happen. That being said, Liverpool to win from behind, which I have won this season a couple of times. Here's your prop bet, your punt for the week. Liverpool to win from behind at 7. Just as a farewell to Jurgen Klopp. I just feel like it might happen, so I'm going to take that.
It should be a goal feast. Ian is going for Liverpool and both teams to score. Can Nats is also expecting a big goal farewell. Liverpool by 3. David is telling us that, Klopp is taking a long vacation, a gap year. So let's see if we see him in 2025 in the Bayern Munich bench that many people are talking about. Next game, Luton Town Fulham. Also farewell for Luton Town in the Premier League, their first season ever, and they can go down with the heads up. Actually, they were the best of the worst teams going down. It's a pity that in the last 5 games, only 1 point. If they could take like a little bit, 1 win, at least they would be alive for this final match day. Fulham also on holidays. Is one of the games that I wouldn't bet, to be honest, in this last match day.
Yeah, look, Luton, I take your point to a degree that they have not embarrassed themselves in the same way Sheffield United have, but they've never really been in the mix. 23 losses. I mean, it's so many defeats. And there was a time at the first half of the season where we were commending them for being in the game and losing by the odd goal against Liverpool and Arsenal. But this little run here was crucial. The loss against Wolves was catastrophic. Unable to beat Everton at home when Everton was safe was a huge moment. And last week, 1-0 up against West Ham, who have massively checked out on this season. I know it was David Moyes' final game and all that, but you've got a lot to play for here, your future, your livelihood. And they just crumbled in the second half against West Ham. So, respect. If you can respect pitifulness, then yeah, fair enough. Respect. I do think Adebayo will get a Premier League club next year up front. Been really, really good. I think if he'd maybe played more mid-season, he was injured, they might have more of a fighting chance. Plus, they've lost a lot of defenders as well across the campaign. Tom Lockyer, most notably. It's been an issue. In terms of Fulham, I've been really disappointed with them the last few weeks. I think Marco Silva will be really furious with the way his players have handled the last couple of weeks. There has been a distinct lack of intensity about Fulham from the Liverpool game onwards. You saw it again last week against Man City. Sure, it's Man City, but there wasn't much effort going on from Fulham. They were just trying to get to the end. And that will be a concern for me if I was Marco Silva. I think we see a backlash here. I don't think we see a big Luton goodbye. Take Fulham, 2.4. I like that. I would take it. I also wouldn't discount the draw market as well, because I think you've got 2 teams here. Luton incapable of winning, and Fulham not sure have the desire to win. So Fulham and draw.
Well, and now the game of the weekend, Man City, West Ham. West Ham to win, 30. If someone is a Moyes believer, if you are an Arsenal fan, if you are going for the lost causes, you can bet on West Ham to win here, 10 euros, you get 300. It's not bad at all. But I guess we won't see this dramatic end with Agüero scoring in the final minute against Queen's Park Rangers. Everyone expects Man City to win 2-0, 5-0, Haaland to score 2 or 3. It's been the pattern in the last games. In the last 5 games, only 1 goal conceded, even if what would have happened if Son scored that goal in the last minutes of the game? What a pity.
I mean, look, what a pity for the league. And I know I was there on Tuesday, and the whole crowd just held its breath and thought, hold on, this is it. It's going to happen. And then It's sadly not. For the league, at least. Look, briefly on West Ham, I will just say that away from home this season, they've actually been pretty good. The 8th best team in the league, 7 victories. They won at Arsenal, a defeat which is probably going to cost Arsenal the title. They won at Tottenham. 7 away wins is pretty decent. A few decent away draws as well. One at Brighton. I think the only them and Chelsea, the 2 teams to won at Brighton this year. So look, they can do it. You know exactly how they're going to play. It will be low block. It will be counter-attack. It will be through balls to Jared Bowen and Mohamed Kudus, who are both brilliant at what they do. So it's not beyond the realms of imagination, West Ham win. The trouble is, the game is not happening in February. The game is happening in May. David Moyes is leaving. They can't get higher than 9th. They can't go lower than 9th. They are going to finish 9th, West Ham, after the results in midweek, which is respectable, if not spectacular. And that's why they're making a change in the summer. And also, there's every chance there's still no Naif Aguirre, there's still no Mavropanos, whatever you think of those 2 defenders. They have pace, which means 36-year-old Angelo Ogbonna alongside Kurt Zouma, whose knees went 2 years ago. So, I don't know. Man City looked a little nervy against Tottenham in midweek. They looked a little bit slow, laborious, like something was on the line. But in the end, they find a way. How do they find a way? Kevin De Bruyne, the best player in the league, as he has been for some time now, some years, finds a square ball to Erling Haaland, the deadliest striker in the country, if not European football, who's in the right place, right time to score. Late goal was kind of irrelevant. It was the Haaland moment that won the game in the end. Plus, of course, Stefan Ortega. I think he's better than Ederson. So Ederson goes off injured and Ortega comes in, makes a great save from Son. Bad finish from Son, to your point, but really good save, great goalkeeping, wins them the game. So there's a few scenarios here. I think City win is obvious, right? I wouldn't go West Ham win. I've told you how it will happen if it does, but it won't. I wouldn't go that wild if you want to make some money. Minus 2.5 is a 3-0 victory. I can see it being not a thumping here because Man City haven't quite been at their best and West Ham can keep teams out in that low block, which they work on and have worked on so much. Yes, West Ham defensively have been poor this year. I think 4th worst defense in the league, but away from the macro of it, in the microcosm of individual games, they have played really well defensively. And Arsenal away and around Christmas is a case in point. So minus 2.5 brings you in at a pretty low number. Minus 3.5, that's 4-0 and above, brings you in at around 2.75 to 3. That's near double your money. So you've got to look at your handicaps you like. Haaland scores and City win brings you in double your money. And if you want an individual score bet, I wouldn't usually recommend these, but I wouldn't be surprised on 5-0. Now, I think it'll be low, but 5-0 correct score is 12. You've got to pick a correct score here if you're going to make some serious money. You know, you've got to be lucky. It's going to be one of them ones where you're going to be lucky. Personally, I think it'll be a 2-0 victory. 3-0 at best. But 5-0 at 12s is around about the best you can find for the thumpings.
Well, David is going for a double chance for West Ham, for instance, X2.
Why not?
Why not? Why not? City to win and Foden to score for Ian. This could be a good option. I saw the best 11 of the Premier League, and in all of them, Foden is in there. Brilliant season for the English guy, already getting ready for the Euros. Well, let's see if we see a big surprise. Remember that all the games are going to be played at the very same time, and only one game left. Sheffield United, Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham 1.4 to win. They need at least a draw to secure the 5th spot. Ante Postecoglou was quite angry at the club, at the things going around prior to the game against Man City, with all the supporters and the club wanted to lose that game. I guess the goal was qualifying for the Champions League. They didn't do it, and the end of the season has been poor. Only 1 win and 5 defeats in the last 6 games. So we had a very good first part of the season for Tottenham, a very sad one, and we all remember the last part, I guess, in the lives. This is history of the life. But overall, how would you rate also Tottenham season?
Brilliant season. I don't get the negativity. They sold Harry Kane in the summer and are going to finish 5th or 6th. Fantastic season. Some amazing wins, some entertaining football. I think all in all, it's been great. And I didn't get Postecoglou getting the ump in midweek while we're explaining to a former Celtic manager what a rivalry is. Like, of course, Tottenham didn't want to win in midweek because they don't want Arsenal to be champions. You were the manager of Celtic. What would they have done if Rangers were going to win the league and they were taking on Aberdeen? And if they won it, Rangers would have won the league. The fans would have been like, lose this, mate. And you would have laughed it off and obviously tried to win. There's no chance, having seen the game, that any Tottenham player tried to throw the game in midweek. It was never, ever, 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 ever going to happen. So Postecoglou's reaction to his supporters was moronic. Didn't get it. Still don't get it. Don't know what he's upset about. It's stupid what he's been doing the last few days. But all in all, he's done a good job. I'm not going to waste my time on Sheff United. They've been crap, and I'm glad they're going down. What do you think about this? Look at your handicaps. 101 goals conceded for Sheffield United. They're going to lose this. -2, 2.75. -3, 4.5. They lost games this year. 5, 6, 7. 7-0. Tottenham 7-0. Is what I'll be looking at here. But to be cautious, take the -3.5 handicap. That brings you in at 4.5. But 7-0, what was that, about 50? It's worth a couple of quid. Take it. They're going to wallop them.
101 goals conceded for Sheffield. You see, 7 is 151. Exactly.
Take it. That's
marathon bet or interbetting around 100.
Do it.
Well, goodbye to Sheffield United, one of the worst teams in the Premier League ever. Nats is telling us Spurs can afford to play, but Spurs winning by 3 goals. He's Greek. Well, his background is Greek. No, he's Aussie. Aussie, mate. Well, Tom, before we finish our last Premier League video of the season, we have to remind you that you can post and participate in our tipster competition. We have an annual one going on, also monthly. We are in the middle of May, but still you can participate in June. And breaking news, we are gonna publish today in our website our Euro competition, our Copa America competition, because this summer you can go to the beach, yes, but you have to bring your laptop, your phone with you and buy some data, because we have plenty of events. Remember, the Euros, the Copa America, the Olympics, and so on. So you can make some money while you are laying on the beach in a mojito, if you are lucky enough. So good luck to everyone before Tom Rennie goes to the beach to this mojito. Which one is your favorite bet?
Safe bet for this week has been a familiar safe bet all season long. Manchester City to win. Take the -1.5 handicap, brings you to 1.33. That's going to come in. That feels a guarantee. So stick it in your ACCA.
Okay. Are you a mojito type of guy, margarita type of guy, perhaps daiquiri?
It's the summer. As long as you're paying, I'm drinking it. That's my policy.
I'm with you. I'm with you on this. And final ACCA drums.
All my ACCAs have been coming in recently. I've won, I think, the last 3 or 4 in a row. And so I've decided for the last weekend of the season to go daring, to go risky. My 3-1, 4-1 ACCAs are coming in. So here's a 9-1 for you. Nottingham Forest to win at Burnley. I have not put Forest in one all season. Tottenham to win at Sheffield United. Obviously, Fulham to win at Luton. 3 away wins against the 3 awful relegated teams. Go with it. I like it. I'm taking it.
Well, thank you, Tom Rennie. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I think it's been a great season. We had a lot of fun. If you've been following Tom's tips, I guess you've made good money, and you've learned a lot about English football. So this is not over. We still have the Euros this week, this month, this summer. So, Tom, thank you. Great season, and thanks to you all. Look. There's a tear here. I'm crying. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.